Now we're going to talk about advanced ownership consolidations. But before we talk about those, I want to talk about the different types of consolidations in Intacct. So you've got your core Sage Intacct way of consolidating. You've got global, domestic, advanced ownership consolidations, which is what I'm going to cover, and the management console consolidation. Now, this was formerly known as advanced consolidation. So don't mix up advanced ownership consolidations with the formerly known as advanced consolidation. So the core consolidation in Intacct that can be used, you can set up multi-entity in an elimination book and create your elimination entries on your own. So let's say you have a few companies and the eliminations are pretty minimal. You can use Sage Intacct on its own without purchasing Global, Domestic, Advanced, or Management Console. However, you don't get automation of elimination entries. With advanced ownership consolidations, you're going to get more features, which I'm going to go into here in a second, that help you consolidate multi-level and various different, more complex consolidations. Okay. And the management console consolidation, the last one on here, this is something that's rarely used. And that was the one that was formerly known as advanced consolidation. Okay, so that was used more for consolidating and reporting on financial data across companies with heterogeneous chart of accounts. So if you have a different chart of accounts, you do some manual mapping with that console. Okay, so it's not very commonly used. So don't get that confused with this new advanced ownership consolidation. So what are advanced ownership consolidations and why would you use them? If you have different ownership interests that are changing, for example, if you've got multiple investors coming in and out of your company, you might want to have different percentages month by month of ownership. This would be a good use case to use the advanced ownership. If you've got non-controlling interest entities, and if you've got multiple levels, okay, of ownership. So if you've got a tier looking something like this, where you've got development holding company, you've got some different ownership interests at different levels. And even more than that, if you have the ownership interest changing and your partnerships and your owners changing as well throughout the year. So what does it look like in Intacct? Let's jump over there. I'm not going to go into all of the setup on the advanced ownership consolidation, but I want to point out a couple things. So company subscriptions, you're going to notice a change here in your subscriptions. So it used to say global consolidation here. Now it's just going to say consolidation. Okay. And then the management console consolidation that I was talking about as well, that is down here separately listed. Okay. For that multiple different chart of accounts kind of scenario. Okay. Rarely used the management console. So up here in the consolidation one, you click configure. And you're going to see, if you turn on multiple currency, you're going to see different buttons here. One will say global instead of domestic here. But you pick between, if you're single currency, you're going to pick between domestic and advanced ownership consolidation. Okay, so if you've got multiple tiers, you've got different ownership structures changing, more than likely you're going to want this advanced ownership consolidation feature here. Okay, so if you click domestic, you can see the simpler layout that it's demonstrating there. Okay, now I'm just going to cover a couple high-level areas here in the system, in the consolidation, once that's turned on. Now, remember, you need to go through a more formal setup. We will have another webinar that goes through the entire setup of advanced ownership consolidations. Okay, so just a couple of things here. There's an organization view. So you can use this to see your layout of your different tiers, your different companies. Okay. You also have now a setup of an ownership structure. Okay, so this is where I'm going to set up my different levels. So I might have, a parent on top of these two. I might have a different parent on top of these, and then I might have a parent on top of all of them. Okay, so this is where you set up your ownership structure and the names of those. So I'm going to give it my holding company or my parent a name here. I'm going to set up my structure period here. Add new period. And you're going to give it some percentage ownership. You make your parent whoever you'd like. let's say it's this one. We've got our subsidiaries here. And you can make it, different ownership percentages each month, even if you want. Because remember, I'm doing a period. And you can do your non-controlling interest and your different setup here for your investment in subsidiary accounts and such. Okay. So there's a whole setup with this. But the point of this is that you have different months. You can have different ownership percentage changes. You can do multi-tier and multi-level. And when you run your consolidation, your eliminations will appropriately treat in the non-controlling interest accounts as well. Okay, so when I can do my consolidation feature here and run my consolidation, those different ownership structure setups and your different allocations with your percentages will appropriately treat those minority interest and your non-controlling interest eliminations. Now, something to note, this is the consolidation method. This is not the equity method. They do have that roadmap to get the equity method in place, but this is the consolidation method of accounting. And then once you run your consolidation feature here, then you can run your financial reports just like you would in the domestic and global, so it looks something like this when you're done. Okay, so you've got your entities, your different roll-ups, you'd have your different holding companies, your eliminations that would automatically be created, and your total, for example, consolidating balance sheet there. Okay, so just a high-level overview of the advanced ownership consolidations, but again, look for a webinar in later November, early December on the actual setup of the advanced ownership consolidation. So check out our bug or YouTube channel, so bug.bangerninc.com, or check out our YouTube channel for that webinar.